No wonder these hybrids got bought out when they were #1 on tour.
Ironically, it still hasn't stopped them being used on the pro circuit in 2024. So which one should you put in your golf bag for next to nothing?
And have we improved since these hybrids essentially wrote the playbook?
I'm sorry, but this thing produces absolutely disgusting ball flights. Depending on your level, swing speed, and golf course that you play at,
Which head style is best going to suit you?
and talk about the potential disadvantages of newer hybrids compared to, well, these.
Bernie Adams created Adams Golf back in the 1990s.
And he's the reason why we see this infamous slot behind the face in so many pieces of equipment in the modern day game.
Especially when we're talking about Taylormade equipment, and that is it. They wanted the pattern of what Adams Golf had created.
However, hybrid is a loose term nowadays, as we have hybrid irons, hybrids that aren't even hybrids and more like fairway woods.
And hybrids, when brand new, cost more than what an old driver used to.
So I've got 3 different head styles with 3 very similar shafts, apart from the Devil hybrid that is, for the main purpose of showing you a 30-40 pound hybrid could be all that you're missing.
This is very much my entry point hybrid for you guys that just want a bit of forgiveness out the rough, potentially that fairway finder off the tee.
But unlike newer hybrids where the main focus is just distance, distance, distance,
I do want to think about these head styles in a different way and help you guys decide which one's going to suit you most.
because this hybrid here I deem the forgiving, high launching, lesser controllable option than the other 2, meaning as you've seen there, I hit that aggressively out the toe. It launched high, spun very low, and went further than the stripe show I had with the Devil hybrid at the beginning of this video. But here comes rule number 1. If you don't swing that fast, i.e. 70 miles an hour, with your hybrid, launch is never going to be your concern. The wind's never touching that, as your lower ball speed won't create enough backspin or too high of a launch for that to ever become uncontrollable. But let's swing it a bit faster so I can distinguish the benefits of the other 2 hybrids that I have with me, and maybe help some of you guys that do swing a bit faster decide, actually, I don't want a hybrid at all. And probably one of the big reasons why we don't see that many hybrids on tour anyway. Tell you what, for 40 odd pounds, these things definitely pack a punch. I think the second fact that we need to tick off, especially from a very well-used 40-pound hybrid that got made almost a decade ago, is the efficiency to create tremendous ball speed when even hit not out the middle, as I just demonstrated there. However, I want you to pay close attention to that and that as we go through the different head styles and obviously the slight loft changes. Because now we're going to number 2, the typical hybrid that I see. Obviously a bit more forgiving than, let's say, your driving iron, but certainly not offset. Our lowest lofted hybrid, 1 more degree less lofted, 18 degrees.
With a very similar shaft to match, and on the reference of similar, hopefully you can see the comparisons.
One of the small advantages I do think of the older ones is that they don't let you tinker. That's your loft, that's your shaft. Stick with it. Stop second guessing the club that you have in your hand.
Obviously now we know ball speed is an upside of newer equipment, but you can get club fitted for this. You can get an expert opinion, knowing what shaft, loft is going to suit you, but then that comes at a cost, an expensive cost, with lots of expectation.
Well, the big reason I'm making this video is that I want you to get a shaft that you think is going to work, a loft and head style that you think is going to work, and at the sake of £40, this incredibly hard club to hit, I don't think people say that enough,
costs you very little, therefore if it doesn't quite work or it takes you a long time to get used to it, you don't feel that hard done by.
It's one of the reasons that I don't have hybrids in my bag.
And for you guys that don't spin your clubs a lot, you hit them really far, then there's other alternatives, i.e. like driving irons.
Because don't get me wrong, these are great, but I'm always on a fine line with my spin and at my speed, because I come on the inside and I don't really hit that much down on any of my clubs. meaning when I get to these low launch angles and I get this high toe shot, I mean, it just goes astronomically far out the back of the green. You can imagine if I'm 240, 250 into a par 5 and I got my hybrid, which would be about right, or let's be honest, my driving iron, and all of a sudden I hit that high toe shot, well, see you later. But for data's sake, let's just take out the 2 high launching shots that I got with very low spin. And yes, I appreciate this is 1 degree less lofted than obviously the Super, but you can see the different ball flights and hopefully what a head style does. But I was consistently lower in launch and I got more backspin. And if I was playing the links, windy, wet, which one do I want? This, because the wind's never touching that. That, however, the wind is. Are either of those clubs bad? No, they've done exactly what they should be doing, but there's just different circumstances for different golfers at the £30 to £40 price range. Therefore, I bring you the devil. The highest lofted club in the bag, which I'm quite happy about, as I dread to think what a 15 degree one of these is like.
With admittedly an X-stiff shaft, it's heavy, this thing is a bullet. And by no means am I saying loft doesn't matter, shafts don't matter. I'm saying if you had the exact same loft in both these heads, the exact same shaft, this one with the center of gravity back here wants to pull more, wants to launch more. Therefore, if you're slower and you haven't got as much speed to get this bending this way on the way down, bigger head styles will help. If you're incredibly fast, love finding the middle of the face, and you want to hit a flighted shot into that 230 par 3 with the wind into off the sea, well, just watch this bad boy go.
Ooh, I love it. Stinger. I mean, it's close to being just a thin with this thing, to be honest.
Now again, before I show you the hilarious numbers, of course placebo makes a difference. And what I mean by that is when I look down on this Pro Mini, it just to me looks like a driving iron. I feel like I can push my hands forward, hit down on it more, play more of that cut stinger fade,
where I've got absolutely no chance of hitting these high launching, low spinning pull hooks that go 50 yards to the left of my target line.
However, the two downsides, one, I edited out my first shot with this club and basically duck hooked it because it's got no forgiveness out the toe whatsoever. And number two, you need incredible speed, just like you need incredible speed to use a driving iron to get enough compression, enough spin at such low launch angles for the ball to even stay in the air.
Wait till I show you the launch angle in a minute. But for clubs that haven't been advancing over the last 10 years, that's some pretty decent efficiency. Obviously, as I just explained, I hit more down on the Pro Mini because, well, that's just the way my eye suits that particular club. But let's not forget 20 degrees loft from the Pro Mini, 19 degrees, 18 degrees. Look at the difference what head style does. And I'm not saying loft and shaft don't play a difference. Of course they do. They do play a big difference. But I'm trying to help you guys choose your hybrid online for £40. So if you want forgiving, high launching, this is your bad boy.
But please be aware, head style, shaft, loft, all put together make a difference. But nothing makes quite a bigger difference than technique, because it's very low launching, controlling. Oh, hybrid I have here, with the wrong technique, will arguably go higher than all three alternatives I just showed you there. Guys, if you've got any questions on your golf bag or golf game, sasgolfacademy.com. Catch you guys later.